stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome. We have no public hearings scheduled for this evening. Any announcements from the board?
Just one quick one.
Yep.
I think most people have heard this by now, but I am leaving my position effective August 6th. I sent out a note to all the boards and committee members today. Our staff and the board were informed weeks ago. So just publicly saying that in case somebody hadn't heard that I am resigning my position, and will work to help and all I can to help the board find a successor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Not from me.
Okay.
No.
All right, we have a couple of appointments this evening. Mike Gilpatrick, our code officer, you're on.
Okay.
So, step right up to the mic. Yeah.
Sure. I guess I'd just like to give you a quick status as to where we're at as far as permitting so far for this year. We've issued 123 permits to date. 24 of them have been single-family residences. We have a total construction cost is $11,838,536. Those numbers are a bit skewed because, as you folks probably know, we had a $5 million solar array, obviously, that's being completed currently, and that alone gave us a permit fee of $35,000. Our total permit fees received this far this year is $82,041.
Calendar year, right?
Calendar year, yes. Yep. Not our fiscal year. We just get started. That would be a heck of a start.
Yeah.
That would be a heck of a start. We have a pretty significant code update. The state notified me May 1st or 4th, rather, excuse me, that we were going to institute the International Energy Conservation Committee's 2015 Energy Code, which is a pretty substantial update for a lot of builders. There's a lot of pretty significant changes in this code update. Please keep in mind, a lot of people aren't very excited about the changes. However, this is the 2015 code, and as we all know, we're in the year 2021, and the codes are typically updated every 2 years. Maine is a bit behind from where they when they update the new cycles, so we're currently trying to catch up. But this was a significant update. The biggest impact that this makes to contractors, builders, homeowners is there's a new provision. We need to have a continuous layer of insulation within the envelope of the building. That translates to there's several different methods that you can use to achieve this. Currently, for example, we accept an R21 in every exterior wall. This new addition to the code will actually force builders to add an additional continuous layer of insulation. Some builders choose to put 2-inch rigid foam on the exterior of the building. Some people choose to do some other strap and wrap methods, they call it, where you would essentially strap the inside of your house with a 2x4 and then utilize either rigid foam or a Roxel type insulation, giving you a very, very tight building. And as you can imagine, as we discuss how we're making our homes more energy efficient, the tighter we make the home, the more we have a need for mechanical ventilation. So that is also in this code change. It's mandatory for every home to have a source of mechanical ventilation. Along with this change, there is also the requirement for air leak testing and blower door testing. We have the opportunity as the town of Waterboro to decide if we're going to make this a third-party inspection or if we're going to add yet another series of tests to some of these prescriptive methods that are being that are become mandatory, excuse me. My recommendation is to require the contractors to have a third-party inspector, somebody that's obviously certified for blower door testing and so forth, to come in and do those in the air leak testing. These are a requirement of the certificate of occupancy from July 1st forward. Now that's...
So what does that do?
The air testing?
Yeah.
What happens is they basically create a vacuum within the envelope of the house and look for any air leaks. Say it would be, perhaps you left a window cracked during the test. You would pick up on that.
So what's the specification?
It's 3 changes per hour, 3 air changes per hour, and the building is supposed to be entirely sealed, the envelope, the thermal envelope. So in your exterior walls, say your wiring holes that are drilled in the top plate, those are all required to be fire stopped currently. But this test verifies that there's basically no stone unturned. You take all of the air out of the house looking for a leak.
So the minimum, it's if it's more than 3 changes per hour, it's unacceptable.
Correct. You would fail the test, and then at that point, this is where the third-party inspector really comes in. At that point, then they walk through the house with a thermal imaging gun to look for any spot that any difference of air temperature is leaking out of the envelope.
So what's the cost?
I wouldn't even dare to guess.
Okay. But
I'd like to give you an honest answer, but I wouldn't even dare to guess.
So if I'm building a house and I'm required to meet all of these guidelines and I have to hire a third party, you don't have any idea what?
The third-party inspectors are anywhere between $400 and $600 typically.
Just to run the test? For
the 2 tests. Never mind the extra requirements for the building envelope. Now, when any exterior wall, as I said, a lot of methods to achieve a continuous air barrier is basically to have 2 exterior walls or something to simulate that. It's pretty stringent. It's pretty stringent, and we're getting a lot of pushback on it, of course, as you can imagine.
And Mike, if you fail, is the CO prevented until you go back and make repairs?
Correct.
Oh, boy.
Yes, the certificate of occupancy is not issued until it passes these requirements. This is a statewide mandate. It isn't anything that we just decided to move forward with. This is unavoidable, unfortunately, at this point.
Is it your opinion that the buildings in this area are ready to meet these changes in their construction methods?
No, not currently. There are some builders that we'll use Wells as an example. Wells has actually instituted this in the home rule a year and a half ago, so all of their contractors are pretty much ready to seamlessly adjust to this. Or they're used to some of these methods. It's a bit more stringent, but the 2009 didn't require things of this nature. So there's going to be some learning curve involved in some of this stuff. I held a training here last week, and unfortunately we had 6 people attend. So, and it was put out there. We did tape the training, so we can continue to do this and offer it as we move forward. But interest is relatively low at this point. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast in construction. I probably won't have a great push for training or education with these matters until people start failing inspections. Right. And then they're going to say, well, what do I need to do? And then at that point, we'll say, okay, next week you need to come to a training, and we'll have 15 contractors and sit down and try to explain. There are 3 different methods that you can use as well they're a bit more forgiving. The prescriptive method is like we would use now, would be the R21, R38 in a cathedral ceiling, and the 48 in an attic, something to that effect. But these are a little bit tighter, and as I said, there are 3 different methods, and it gets really complicated. But there are some tools that a contractor could use that are offered online by Efficiency Maine, we'll say. You can go on there and input all of your information in the envelope of your building. It's called a res check, by the way. And you can utilize that website to essentially create your building and the methods that you intend to use to see if they pass.
So if you're having a CO inspection to this degree, and you're all painted up, and all your windows are in, and everything's ready for the ham sandwich in the kitchen, and you fail, all your sheetrock's painted, all your windows are in, all the trim is done, and you may have to tackle some or all of your windows that might be the problem.
I'm glad you asked that question, and I'm glad this is publicly broadcasted. You should have checked that way before that point. The idea is to, when you call for your occupancy inspection, you should have these reports, and you should have these reports all done, and we should have them on file here in the code office. That's the idea behind it. You definitely would not want to wait until it was move-in ready before you decided to put the blower door on.
Is that your insulation inspection point?
Yeah, a good
Safest
portion
one.
of it. Yep. It's gradually all the way through, because like we'll say you pour your slab for your basement, or a pre-backfill inspection. These accommodations are supposed to be made along the way, so we'll still have an opportunity to guide people. Say, well, geez, you haven't taped the poly here in this corner, that may fail, you know?
Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, I got a question, Mike. Is there some stuff we could put, some links we could put on the website, and when somebody's applying for a permit, they have to, check the box that they've viewed these videos before they start their building,
We don't, but that's a great idea. We should definitely put some things on there for some educational things. And unfortunately, we just learned about this pretty substantial code change in May. So I've really been scrambling to get all the training that I could personally before that, and that's why I decided to hold the training last week. I had asked
We
Gary.
learned about it in May, and it is effective July 1st.
And that's a state mandate that it's effective July
Yep.
1st? We don't have a choice to push that out until 2022?
You're really putting me in a corner here. We have a 30-day grace period. So all the projects that are in queue, we'll say, at this point in time, will still be able to be reviewed under the 2009 code.
Okay.
So we have a 30-day
So
window.
anything that's new,
Anything that's
starting.
New building permits.
Exactly. Yep.
What about these tiny homes? They can rent that too? I'm just asking.
That's up to our legislature, where really there's a lot of discussion in the legislature about what is going to be allowed and what standards they're actually going to be held to in these tiny homes because of the size of the home. If you live in a 10 by 12 tiny home and you have a egress window that actually meets egress, that's half of your wall. So there's some things there's a lot of work around that. We started out currently we observe tiny homes in the same category as like manufactured homes. So it has to be stamped and it's registered with the state and federally so that these homes have to meet a certain code, but it's in some effect different than a standard single-family dwelling because it's a manufactured
So we're
type of
driving,
housing.
we're driving the guy that's building a home to these new standards. We got tiny homes that are popping up everywhere. We got people living in campers, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
On their property, which we don't have a restriction of. We used to have for so many days restrictions on, but now we don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not quite sure how
This all works.
All of that comes together, right?
I have some of the same exact questions, and that's why we call Augusta 3 times a week. 3 times a week to get some clarity with these issues because it's a lot of times that's when you'll get the I'm not sure, let me check into it because I'm not really seeing the relevance or I don't always agree with my position. It is what it is. Any more questions with energy?
No fire suppression in this new update? Good. So far.
So far.
Okay, I was just asking.
None so far. Okay, so let's see where we're at. We're at iWorks. Had anybody had an opportunity? I sent some of this information out a little bit ago regarding iWorks and some quotes that I had gotten. Has anybody seen those?
Yeah, then
It was in the packet.
In the
yeah.
packet.
That's in the packet. This particular software company, iWorks, I mentioned in the beginning, I had got a quote from them way back when I first started here, and it was pretty shocking to me what they were asking us to pay for startup and so forth, as this would be the third town in southern Maine that I've kind of utilized this code enforcement software, or installed rather. So I did, I guess for lack of a better term, I did a little down east dickering with them, and they reduced the price significantly down to what would be our annual fee. So they started somewhere in the vicinity of $10,000, and now they're willing to sell us the package with installation for just about, I think it was $35.
Yeah, that's what the second quote says.
Correct. And this price is good for 30 days. The big part is about this iWorks and the push is obviously we kind of live in a digital world now. This gives us a real-time platform to utilize, and it creates an enormous amount of efficiencies. We oftentimes handle a file. Angela is in here, of course, to back me up. We handle a file probably 7 to 8 times before any project is complete. This gives us the ability to work remotely, so we could basically pull the file when the project is approved, begin to build the file, and then everything else after that point would pretty much be done digitally. Even plans on a job site, I can get a PDF, and I have a question about some wall, I just blow that section up, and all that information's right there at the touch of the finger.
And on site too.
And that's on the site. And then the other portion is inspections. We have inspection checklists that need to be filled out with every inspection. Oftentimes, rather than print one out, carry it with me, I'll either make some notes on my phone, or you folks have actually got me a tablet at this point, which works fabulous, by the way. Thank you. This would be another great use for that as well. So I can stand at the job site and literally go through each and every one of my inspection checklists and check them off. And the checklists are really a big help, just because you're not always going to remember every single little thing. I'm human too. Yeah. If you look at your checklist, okay, I have to look for basic stuff, stone around the pipe for the drainage and so forth, and plugs the holes for foundations. The list goes on and on and on. So I'd really like to see this, see you folks consider the software. I know it's not necessarily in our budget for this year. It appeared that we may have had room last year, but I was coming in at the end of the year, so it's touch and go there. So I wanted to at least throw this out there and give you folks a brief demonstration of what it would do for us in the community as well. This software comes with what we would call an online portal. So this is actually what's on the big screen is Limerick software. Dave, if you want to say you're a homeowner, go ahead, please. Say you're a homeowner and you wanted to put in a permit for a deck. You can roll down through. Well, actually, I had him set it up for an addition. Wow, he's fast. So what we do is basically you fill out every single field, the setbacks, the side, and we have an ability here as Waterboro to tailor this to what we'd like to see on the building application and permit. Like our current application has the first whole sheet are guidelines and requirements of each individual permit. So as soon as you click on that field, that form would come up and it would tell you to organize your files so that as you work down through this, Dave, can you just go up to the setbacks real quick? Front setbacks, we'll put in 75. Toggle down, 30. 50 in the rear. 250 for frontage. Then scroll a bit down. We're going to use private, then that drop down. Up. Private, same with the sewage disposal. Then height of your building, typically 25 feet. And same. Bathrooms, you pick 1, 2. Storage proposed 1. Bedrooms 3. Year round. And the septic system is approved for 3 bedrooms. So you scroll down a bit more. The key over here, nope, not yet, Dave. The key over here, just highlight over to the upload files. Now, if you had blueprints, deeds, whatever, you would compose that into a file, upload that into that link, press submit. You just applied for a building permit.
In Limerick.
That's okay. If you want to go back on the website, you'll see I'm still an alternate there as well, so I can take care of that. It's actually my property on there, but anyway,
Yeah.
moving right along. And so it's really, really user-friendly. Really, really user-friendly, and all of that. As soon as you would apply here, like right now, the current code officer in Limerick is Jesse Winters. He just got an email. Mike Gilpatrick just applied for a permit. So, and it works really well. It creates a ton of efficiencies. You don't handle paperwork as much as we do, and it brings us into the digital world, as well as allows the contractors to apply for a permit any time of day and night. Gives us 24-hour capability, so we're always available.
Is this cloud storage or local storage of the files? Cloud.
And all of the data is ours. And you actually, if you have an opportunity, this is actually the contract. So if you read through that, you can see a lot of, and if you certainly would like more information, please let me know. I can set up a demo where we could sit down and you can ask all the questions. If you want to, can you back out of this portion, Dave? And go back to our portal. Oh, that's okay. That was actually where we wanted to be. You can go down a little bit, down to the bottom of the page, please. Here's another valuable feature for that I'm seeing utilized for a lot of people. If you would like to report a complaint, go on there, click your name, requested name, the issue, boom, that's in my email. The next time I come to my desk. Now,
Is there a follow-up with that too?
Yeah, it develops. It has its own file that's separated with complaints, enforcement issues. I really wanted to try to get into the Limerick system so that I could kind of navigate around and show you guys its capabilities a little bit. But the more I thought about that, might have been a little too much. Might have been abusing my authority just a little. So if you want to, can you back out of here as well, Dave? All the way back to our portal. Now find a permit. If you want to, at the very top, you can click on here. Here's a bunch of permits that are issued recently in Limerick. 18 Terry Drive, if you'd like to click on that one. Not sure if this contract is usually pretty good, but all the files may be on. Yep, just click on that. It doesn't give you the good stuff. Oh, get out of there. Everybody doesn't need to know what he's paying for his permit. No, I'm teasing. It's all public information. Mm-hmm. But on the code enforcement side of things, when you go to click into that, if you have a login, you can go in, pull up the blueprints. If, say it was Josh at the transfer station and somebody hauled in a deck Then he went over to his computer and he's got a login. He can log in there, see what they ask the gentleman their name, type it in, search by the name, just like we did at the beginning of applying for a permit. Oh yeah, he's got a permit for a deck. That makes sense. He's bringing up. He's getting rid of this. He's getting rid of this deck. There's a lot of capabilities, and it doesn't only do code enforcement. There are other sessions as well. There's a public works session. There's other.
Well, links to GIS as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, I can't get in there. Sorry. It's when you have the access.
So I guess my question is that between you, Dave, and Gary, I mean, certainly I think that the board's supportive of anything that brings us into the 21st century. Yeah. So, but I mean, we're not controlling budgets, right? So that's between Gary and you guys. So I would think that, seeing how you've now, what did you call it, down east?
Down east Dickering.
Dickering.
Yeah.
That you've got, a reasonable price, right? Maybe,
Yep.
But I'd want Dave to make sure that it's something that, fits with what we're already doing and whatnot, so.
That's typically your annual fee. Go ahead.
How much does this increase your capacity on a given day when you were using this system within Limerick?
Probably 25 to 30%. It's pretty. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of data entry out. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of the stuff, because once you get things set up, if a homeowner currently owns property in a home here and they're going to do a remodel permit or something, all their information is already there. It doesn't have to be re-entered. And filing, when the permit's done and we issue the occupancy, print the whole file out, put it in the archives.
There will probably be additional fees if you were to attach Public Works to it.
Yes.
So that would go up a little bit.
Those are different
Transfer
sessions.
station, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Those are different avenues.
But again,
it's
once it's
possible.
all, right.
Right. The data entry is already, once we get it off the ground.
The initial setup, right?
Yep.
Any other questions, Mike, while we've got him here?
Thank you.
I'm gonna throw some of these packets. These are from my initial training from the energy audit, so I'm gonna just throw them on the table over there, and then I'll make them available to the public. So anybody that wants to come in and get something or get an idea of what it is that they're looking for, what's changed, and so forth. These do a pretty good job of explaining the handouts.
Great.
Okay, I'll leave them on the table.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. Karina, welcome to Waterboro.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. My first time here. Yeah, it's nice to meet you all. I know Gary, but everyone else I think is new. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator with Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission. I was hired there about a year and a half ago to start a new regional sustainability and resilience program that we work with towns here in Southern Maine on sustainability and climate change related initiatives. I know in Waterboro you have been dealing a lot with solar and solar farms over the past year or two, and this is another project, but on the other side where Waterboro could be the customer for solar energy for your municipal operations. This is a project we've been working on with Gary and other town managers to do a joint collaborative procurement effort for Southern Maine towns for municipal solar. And it's been happening since about November of last year, and we're kind of on the final legs of it. So I wanted to give an overview of the Southern Maine Solar Collaborative today to you all, and if Waterboro is still interested in continuing forward, what those next steps would be.
Because we haven't signed anything on the document.
Nope. We haven't signed anything. There's no commitment at this point. I'll go through all of it once we start the slides. So if you want to just change to the next one. Oop, it's a little off. But so As you all are probably pretty aware, Maine expanded the net energy billing program in 2019 for small-scale distributed generation solar developments to create distributed solar for Maine residents, but also for commercial and industrial customers. So those are those community solar farms for residential customers, but also for customers like municipalities. And because the solar farms are not located in your town or on your property, they do it through this solar credit system, and it kind of works along this diagram. So there's a solar project somewhere on the CMP's electricity grid, and that solar project delivers electricity to the utility through that grid, and through that they keep track of how much solar electricity is being distributed. Then the utility counts how many kilowatt hours of electricity have been generated and issues what's called a net energy billing credit. So this is a state issued credit for the cost of the solar energy and some of the distribution and transmission costs that is then applied to your invoice, your utility bill. So that's a direct discount on the bill. You see your charges from CMP, and then you see subtracted from that the value of those credits, and what you would end up paying is what's remaining from that difference. And then finally, the third part of this transaction is that you as the client would pay the solar developer for the credits, but at a discounted rate. And that's where the sort of savings benefit of this program comes in, is that you are saving the difference between what you're paying for the credits and what they're actually worth when applied to your utility bill. So it's a bit complicated, but the goal is just for you as a municipality or another commercial customer to get discounted solar energy to improve the market for distributed solar here in the state of Maine. Next slide. So this is all kind of complicated and it was new, so a while back we were meeting with different town managers talking about this program, and we thought that it might be a good idea for a group of towns to get together and work together to try and get one of these net energy billing contracts for all of our towns. And why is this a great option? It's because when we have a bunch of different municipalities working together, we have a larger pool of electricity needs, and so we can command a better rate from the solar developer for the price that they're offering. It also reduces the staff time that the individual towns would need to, if they want to do their own request for proposals process and evaluate all their different options. Instead, we did that all as a group. So it really made that process more efficient. Working together, we also could sort of leverage for some more competitive contract terms in the net energy billing contract, like performance guarantees, good clauses for termination options, and the renewable energy credits that provide the environmental attributes with the solar electricity. And then it was also just a great opportunity for us to all learn a little bit more about solar energy and why it can be useful for municipalities to participate. And it also has allowed for communities with smaller usage, some like Waterboro, or we also have a Gunklip participating, where by themselves they might not attract a developer who really wants to offer you a good price because you're a smaller fish. So next slide. So from all that, we kind of got together and we decided to do this multi-town effort, which we dubbed the Southern Maine Solar Collaborative, to use cooperative purchasing to get a single net energy billing credit agreement for all participating towns. So how this works is we did a request for proposals for a solar project or a couple projects to enter into one of these net energy billing credit agreements, or NEBCAs for short, individually with all our municipalities. So we had the RFP process, and I'll go into a little bit more about that in a minute. But from that, we selected one finalist bid, and the idea is that the towns would not be all entering into the same contract together. They'd each individually be entering into a contract, but the contract would be the same, the offer would be the same, and the terms would be the same for all municipalities. And so the final step will be for the municipalities to finalize those contracts with their individual electricity usage and sign them individually with the developer. So next slide. So that's the stage where I'm at today presenting to you. As I mentioned, with Gary and the other town managers, we've gone through the RFP process and selected a bid. And I'm going to go over what bid we selected and why, and then also what that means for me, for Waterboro and your electricity usage. And then finally, those next steps as to if you wanted to go forward, how you would finalize and sign that net energy billing credit agreement. Next slide. Okay, so we did our RFP process earlier this spring, and we had 7 proposals that were submitted by different solar developers here in the state. And of those proposals, they had 9 different offers for the sort of pricing structure they were willing to offer the towns. Those kind of fell into 2 categories. So one is a % discount offer, where for whatever rate the main public utility sets the credit value at, you're always going to get a discount that's standard off those rates. So those range from a 15% standard discount to up to a 27.5% discount. So quite a wide range that we were offered. The other type of offer we got was a fixed rate offer. So that's sort of different, where no matter how the value of the net energy billing credit changes based on what the Public Utilities Commission sets it at, your price is always the same over the course of years of the contract. So every year, no matter what the credit is worth, you're paying 9 cents a kilowatt hour or up to 10.4 cents a kilowatt hour. So 2 different options, and both good, but there certainly was a wide range when we were evaluating the bids. Next slide. So this is just an overview of who bid on our RFP, and there might be some names you recognize. There was a wide range of different types of companies. So some were these larger international corporations like M.R.S.A or HEP, but there are also some smaller ones like Citizens, which was actually part of a nonprofit, Citizens Energy Corporation. Encore Renewable Energy is a Vermont-based B Corporation, and U.S. Solar was a Minnesota-based privately held corporation, and one of them, Ampion, wasn't even a solar developer, but like a market contractor who served as a middleman between you and the solar developer. So a wide range of different options. Next slide. And we asked for quite a substantial proposal for the RFP. You know, there were a lot of different questions that they had to answer and we had to evaluate them on. So we used a standardized evaluation form to evaluate each proposal, weighing them across a bunch of different categories. The most important being the financial benefits to the communities, as well as information about their company, their financial strength, their experience in Maine, and our Maine current net energy billing laws. And then other things like, when will the project be built? What is the status of their approval with Central Maine Power and the ISO New England Grid, and other things about environmental impact and where they're located. So a pretty comprehensive assessment of each one that we did for all 9 different pricing offers. Next slide. So I'll jump to the chase and just go over our bid finalists, which we selected unanimously as with the group of town managers from all 6 towns. I forgot to mention, and it was probably cut off there, probably wondering who the towns are that are participating. It's Waterboro, as well as Kennebunkport, Kittery, Agunquit, Old Orchard Beach, and Freiburg. So quite a group of towns, small and large, across southern Maine. And so we chose, so to jump back into it, our bid finalist was Encore Renewable Energy. That's the company that was the certified B Corporation based out of Vermont. And there are a number of reasons why they kind of stood out above and beyond all the different offers we received. First, they offered us the largest discount price of any of the offers we received, which was 27.5%. That is one of the highest discounts I've ever seen offered, and I know a lot of solar developers have been calling towns kind of out of the blue, cold calling them and offering them 15%. So almost double what you would get through not doing this RFP process. It also importantly includes the renewable energy credits. So those are the market valued credits that come with the environmental attributes of the solar. And it's a bit complicated, but basically it means that you can claim you're using zero emission solar electricity for your municipal operations in Waterboro. The energy will come from 2 solar farms in Athens, Maine, so not here in Waterboro or any of our other towns, but still on the CMP grid. Athens is a little north of Skowhegan, and I did have to look it up because it is a very small town. But these solar projects, we were very happy with this proposal because they were the farthest along in the development pipeline. And not subject to any large delays with central main power or the grid. So these solar farms are on track to be built in late fall or early winter of this year, and there's nothing preventing them from obtaining their full permitting and full agreement with the grid or with the communities. Finally, they're a New England company with a lot of experience in Maine. We were able to reach out to Cape Elizabeth and the Greater Augusta Utility District and some other towns participating in a different solar consortium, and all of them have very positive reviews of their experiences with Encore. And outside of Maine, they have a lot of experience net metering with municipalities in Vermont and New Hampshire as well. So we felt comfortable with their experience dealing with municipalities like ours and navigating these solar agreements. Next slide. So what does this all mean for Waterboro in the end? We sat down with the electricity account data for Waterboro for 2019 and looked through how much you're currently spending on different things and what would be a good amount of solar credits to purchase. And I believe that it would be a good amount it would be good for Waterboro to purchase about 60% of your current spending worth of credits. That's a little lower for some of the other towns where they're going more like 80 or 85%, but here in Waterboro you haven't converted your streetlights to LEDs, and that's almost half of your annual electricity spending. So if and when you do that, that will significantly reduce your costs. So you really want to take that into account because one of the things about these contracts is you're purchasing a certain amount of electricity. So once you set that at the beginning of the contract, it's hard to decrease that in the future or change that significantly in the future. So you want to be conservative with what you think you're actually going to need. So 60% seems like a good amount. So that in this equation, that would mean Waterboro would purchase solar generation of about 260,000 kilowatt hours annually. And then the value of those kilowatt hours is set by the Maine Public Utilities Commission. Right now that's set at about 12.28 cents per kilowatt hour. So on your utility bills, you would see credits applied of about $32,000. And then you would be also invoiced by Encore for those credits, but at a price of only $207,000. So that's that 27.5% discount. So again, the difference between the credits applied to your bill and the price you're paying for the credits is where you would be saving on your electricity expenses for the community. And in this situation, it would be about $8,800 per year. So basically 16% of your total electricity spend right now being saved. And if you did convert your streetlights to LEDs, that relative percentage would be higher. And then these are, it's important to note that this is a 20-year contract, and that is set by the legislation. So it's meant to, so that the solar farms do have customers off-taking from the solar farms for the life of that solar array. So 20 years is the standard. But you'll have those guaranteed savings every year. So if the value of the credit remains similar, that's about $176,000 saved for Waterboro electricity expenses over the course of those 20 years. Next slide. Once we chose the Encore Renewable Energy as our finalist, we then set about negotiating the standard contract template for all the towns with them, and we did that with Natalie Burns, who is, I believe, both your attorney and our attorney. So she helped us through that and approved of this contract. So some general comments about the contract is that it's a 20-year contract just between Waterboro and Encore Renewable Energy. So SMPDC isn't involved and the other towns are not involved. And it sets out that you will receive a 27.5% discount on those solar energy credits every year including those renewable energy credits. There's some protective clauses about early termination, so Waterboro could terminate the contract if the projects aren't completed on time, they're not producing electricity adequately, or the town isn't able to appropriate funds for a given year. And if Encore were to sell the project to another solar developer, the contracts would transfer in full to the new owner, so they would have to honor the terms that you agreed upon with Encore at the time. Next slide. So I know that was a lot, and you guys probably have questions, and I think Gary might have, it looks like he handed out the presentation to you, but if Waterboro is interested in moving forward, the next step is to authorize Gary, the town manager, to sign the net energy billing credit agreement with Encore once it's specialized to Waterboro. Then you wouldn't start receiving any credits until the solar farms are operational, which will either happen at the end of 2021 or early 2022. And until you start receiving those credits, you also do not pay anything. So your first thing you would pay to Encore would be the invoice for the credits that have also been applied to your bill for that month. And so at the end of the day, that would mean that 60% of Waterboro's municipal electricity will be from Maine Solar Energy, and you're also supporting distributed solar in Maine and saving money on your electricity and utility costs. So that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
I do. Why are they going to the Athens projects that's not done yet when there are a number of other projects that are functional right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So sort of the way the process works is that these developers find a site, they design the solar array, and then they need to secure financing. A lot of them are not self-financed, they have to be backed by someone, and in order to secure the financing, they have to show that they are going to have customers off-taking from that solar farm. So that's sort of the step we're at for these larger commercial industrial facilities. We did not get any offers from anyone who's already built because they've already signed on either with other commercial customers or they've signed on to do a residential solar farm that they're constantly adding and subtracting people from. So this is just sort of the step in the process that it happens. There's not really an alternative option to sign on to one that's already built.
So the majority of the ones that are already built have power spoken for.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So the big question I have, all right, so we save X amount of dollars per year. Where does that money come from?
I think it just comes from your budgeting for electricity.
But
Oh, I see what you
I
mean.
guess what I'm saying is that is the state or is the federal government subsidizing?
Yeah, it's a state-funded program.
So the state of Maine subsidizes the program, and we would, I guess, so my other question is that we currently subsidize the program, but if we sign a 20-year contract, is there any guarantee that the legislature continues to fund the program?
Yeah, that's a good point. So it is set in a law, LD 1711, but to be fair, the legislature this year did amend that law to already change that program. So that is something to think about. That change they amended it with does not affect these developments or the contract that Waterboro would have with Encore. There is a clause in the contract that if a significant change does happen to the legislation or if it's repealed or significantly modified, that the town and Encore would negotiate in good faith to find a solution that works for both, and if not, end the contract. But it is a possibility that it could change. I think there's a lot of support for the net energy billing program. I think people were a little worried that it was too big, but despite those shortfalls, it's something that people want to continue and that solar developers have invested a lot of money in, and people like municipalities and other clients have signed up for.
There's an advantage for them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, number one, they're not going to, if they're under 5 megs, they're only going to, they're going to be tax exempt. So the governor has to find 50% of that money to come back to the towns, but I guess this is almost like a house of cards, right? Where, it's kind of like, well, as long as these things continue to happen, you'll continue to get the discounts.
I guess the point to that is that because you're not paying for the building of the solar array or its operation or maintenance, there's really not much for you to lose if something happened. You'd never be in a situation where you're
long as there's an
paying
out
too
in the
much.
contract,
Yeah.
right? Other questions?
We have solar farms here in town, and
So those solar farms, I guess if I'm reading you right, those solar farms have to have commitments
right.
for the energy that they're going to produce before they go online, right?
And the planning board saw those commitments too,
Okay.
from CMP. I guess my question or my thought process around it is, what could change in the legislation over the next 20 years that could hurt us, or maybe we're protected from being hurt at all? I don't know.
I don't think any of us know.
I just know that recently, when we had the solar developments come into town, we were told that, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, about the numbers, I'm just going to pull the numbers out of my memory here, but that the town would get reimbursed 50% from the state of the value of the installation.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong again, but I think that's gone.
No.
It's not.
It's in the Constitution.
The Constitution of the state of Maine says that if the legislature exempts something from taxes, that the state has to compensate the municipalities 50% of that value.
Okay, so we're still going to get that value then?
Unless they change the Constitution.
Well, we're knocking on wood though.
Well, when those millions of dollars grow into tens of millions of dollars, I think the legislature will act. They decided as a group not to fix that in this session. A, they were busy, B, in the pandemic, and C, there's not that many bills yet for that. But when that number grows, and coming from the governor's office, I would assume that oops that they made, and they made a mistake here exempting these to this size. They admit that. And it was an easy fix. I don't know why they didn't, but they didn't do it yet. So, do you have anything more on that?
I mean, the money comes
I
from
don't
somewhere.
know any more than you do
Okay.
on what could happen. Yeah.
So the 22 letters I get a month in my mail telling me to convert to solar, to solicit solar, right? And I'm going to save 15% and all that good stuff. That really is funded by the state of Maine.
I don't want to say exactly how, because to be honest, I do not
Between
know the
state
inner
and
workings.
feds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's funding it.
Yeah.
CMP or the generators, the people generating the power aren't just out of the goodness of their heart giving you a discount, right? So certainly CMP's not.
So what's next if, the town decides we want to do this? What's the time frame of?
Yeah, so like I said, the contract is in its final blank state. I think what would be next would be you or someone in your finance department looking at the electricity allocation spreadsheet one more time with a close eye to make sure it's accurate. And then it would be just filling out the net energy billing credit agreement with Waterboro's specific information. And if the selectmen authorize you to sign it, then you would be able to sign the contract on behalf of the town.
Okay.
So that's really all that's remaining.
So on an annual basis, the PUC controls the credit, right?
They control the price of the credit. It's set by a standard formula, so it's just they have to go with the small general service standard offered rate plus 75% of CMP's agreed upon transmission and distribution costs. So it changes with the value of electricity in the state every year.
All right, so it's not something willy-nilly that the agency,
So if they wanted to change that, they would have to change the legislation to
Right.
do so.
well, that could happen in a heartbeat around here.
Which towns have signed so far?
So Kenny Bunkport just authorized their town to sign. Old Orchard Beach, I presented to them, but they are, their town council is doing that next week. Freiburg is doing that this week. And Kittery is having a public hearing either next week or this week, so it's kind of all over the place. So Kenny Bunkport's the only one that has gone through the step of the select board authorizing the town manager to sign. Everyone else is still in the game.
Kenny Bunkport's got their own electricity company.
That's Kenny Bunk. Kenny Bunkport is still
Kenny.
on CMP.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you for coming in person.
Great,
All right,
yeah,
we
no
appreciate
problem.
it.
And if any additional questions come up, feel free to reach out.
we will probably have
Or
more
bug
questions.
DJ about it.
It probably will be.
Okay, let's move on. We do have item 6, public comment. Anybody in the public that would wish to comment? Seeing none, correspondence, we do have the treasurer's reports that are available, and those are the year-end treasurer's reports with one caveat, is that we still accrue fiscal year 21 expenses for the 30-day period, right? 1 month? 1 month?
30 days, the end of this month.
Okay. So the year-end numbers that you had the other day will change based
Yes.
on any accruals that happen this
Yes.
month. Motor vehicle reports are available if anybody's interested. Reports and staff initiatives. Dwayne, you have
Pretty
anything?
quiet.
Pretty quiet. David?
Not this week.
Mike?
No, nothing.
Dana? And I guess I am all set as well, so let's jump to Gary's report.
And I made a mistake, and Julie's going out to try and help correct that. We did have an item that I was supposed to add to the agenda this evening, and it's about the new PERS plan that was approved for the firefighters. She's going to hand out some language here, and I'd like to, I guess, add that to the agenda to talk about that. But while she's coming back here, for myself, I'd like to let you know what I'm going to try and work like crazy to get done, and that is the tax commitment. I'm hoping that 2 weeks from tonight, Shirley and I will have our usual 3 estimates for the mill rate for commitment, and then I guess you could possibly give your informal consensus that night, or you would also have August 3rd to do that, and then certainly by the end of August, Shirley would commit the taxes. She's the assessor, she has to do that, but obviously we always involve the selectmen here. I'm going to do a great deal of notes typed up for Matt and my successor concerning a variety of issues that I've done over the last 8 years, some of them pending, one we met on this evening. I'm also willing to come back for a day or two if you want me to work with my successor once that person is hired. I showed Dennis earlier tonight, I do have the ad notice and the town planner job description pretty well gussied up. Laura's looking at that right now just for a final set of eyes, but that's ready to go out. And thank you, Julie. And I certainly intend to start collecting resumes well before I depart on August 6th. The land swap with Doug Foglio Sr. on Bennett Hill Road is done. Payment has been made. We own that property now on Bennett Hill Road, on the other side of Bennett Hill Road from the transfer station. Years in the future, that will hopefully be another gravel pit for us once we need it. Middle school generator project. Bids are out. If you know of any electricians that would like to bid on a 250 kW diesel generator at M.R.S.A Middle School, have them contact either myself or Fire Chief Matt Boers. The project is going to be 25% paid by the RSU and 75% paid by FEMA. It's flow-through money. The town will pay it and we will get reimbursed. And what this does, it'll turn the middle school into a Red Cross certifiable full-service emergency center with kitchen, bathroom, showers, and sleeping area, something we've never had before. Another little bit of information on American Rescue Plan. I did go to this second public hearing that the county held on the 23rd of June. Not a lot of new information there. Since John Vicari couldn't go, I just made a very generic statement saying that the Waterboro Water District may submit an application for a storage tank or a well, since water, sewer, and broadband expansions are within the scope of these ARPA or Rescue Plan funds. I think broadband, the issues that Dave Lowe has been involved with and you folks have been aware of in terms of broadband access for parents during the pandemic, is a real problem in a few areas of town, and we can certainly do some things with that as well. The county has $20 million. They've received that already. They're looking at how to spend that, and they'll get another $20 million next year. Update on Lions Club Field project. Unfortunately, Norman's Electric is still waiting for the light fixtures to come in, and there's not a whole lot more they can do down there. The pole's in, the board for the panel is in. Pete and other staff worked, I don't know, either ourselves or with the contractor to verify that the lines were buried deep enough by code, so that's okay. And Craig Norman knows that he needs to get that done as soon as possible once those fixtures arrive. And that's it from me, and I'd like to pass out this information that is about this main PERS plan.
Where are we adding that to the agenda, excuse me?
I don't know the answer to that because I missed that part of adding it to the agenda, so I don't even know if the board wants to.
Well, I'd certainly, I would certainly entertain a motion to add it to the agenda to discuss and possibly vote on it.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. All those in favor? We'll add it as 9F. Okay?
Thank you.
Remember, the budget approved 25 years of service, no minimum age limit, retirement plan for firefighters. Because we were battling that in trying to hire other people. They were not interested in coming to work for Waterboro, in part because you had to be much older.
All right. So we'll deal with that when we, so that'll be discussed, vote, the necessary approval of the main change to the main PERS plan for the firefighters. All right, item new business 9A, discuss vote to approve a renewal liquor license for the Fraternal Order of the Eagles. And I believe we have all the data from Mike Gilpatrick, Mike Frazier, and I guess there's not a problem with that, so.
I'll move that the Eagles be granted their renewal license.
Okay,
I'll second it.
moved and seconded to approve the renewal liquor license for the Fraternal Order of the Eagles. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Discuss renting the town hall. Wow, this has been a long time since we've had that discussion.
Well, someone called me.
So we have a request, and I'm not sure by whom, but we do have, I think you've got the paperwork on your, in front of you, of what the town of Waterboro use of municipal facilities looks like. Looks like it was approved back in 2005. There is one conspicuous signature on it, which is Dwayne Woodstill. So, the request is from,
Oh, somebody called to have a baby shower, I think it was, or a wedding shower, one of those, and to rent the gym, but the rec department does not do that anymore because of, they have it for furniture and other things.
so what's the question here?
The question was, Gary,
Yeah, part of the problem is we're renting out the furniture room here for $50, and it costs 2 or 3 times that maybe in staff time to come over and clean it afterwards and put all the things back. I agree with Todd Smith that the furniture room over here should not be rented out for parties, if you will, that have drinks and food and that type of thing. If somebody wants a meeting with just people coming, if they can't do it in the front lobby over there, Todd would let them use the furniture room, but sit at the existing tables. It just doesn't make sense to rent it out for bridal showers and other such things.
So the request was to rent the big room or any room?
He's always getting those. And during COVID, it was easy to say no to baby showers and other such things for the furniture room. So my recommendation is take the town hall, which should say furniture room, I guess. Town hall's kind of nondescript in that list. The front meeting room in the old section is pretty clear if we put old section there. Upstairs meeting room, I mean, that's road review committee, and I don't know if the garden committee uses that other side or not, but I don't know that we really have a place up there that we
Well, you certainly don't have
readily rent.
access.
You don't have ADA access. They should be, coming into this room here.
So I guess my question still is, what do you want the board to do? Do we want to change the use of municipal facilities, or do we want to grant someone permission to use the room? I don't think that we have to do that, right? This was set up so that...
I think Todd's been doing a good job for the people that he does let in there, even before COVID, keeping tabs on them, but I would...
So if anything, I think this probably, seeing as how it's now 16 years old, probably ought to be revisited. So
We can do that.
if Todd and you want to take a shot at what this should be and should look like, then you can bring it back and the board will determine whether or not we would approve it or not.
Okay.
Because right now, this is the only thing that we have, right?
And it's not much. It's just too old and irrelevant.
And as for having the furniture people clean it, I mean, why would we even do that? Why wouldn't we charge them a deposit enough to cover that?
Yeah, we charge them $50. That's it.
Well, that was in 2005. It was $50.
The building's gotta be cleaned to start with, before you get renting it.
Right, but I mean, if Todd and his crew already have it clean, and somebody rents it,
It's up to
Needs to be
the
left
cleaner.
and it's left a mess, then they should have a deposit big enough to make sure that's coming.
Could
So
do that,
If
yeah.
you want to make a proposal, let's bring it back as old business at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay? All right, discuss vote to approve, item C, discuss vote to approve special amusement permit for 5 Ponds Public House.
What is the special
What's your
amusement?
event?
Well,
it's the
it's-
same thing that Blues Festival uses.
Music.
Right, and...
Okay, yeah,
and-
that's what I wondered, what,
And I believe that Woody's has a special amusement, because he has music
one-man
in
band or
there
whatever, yeah,
and whatnot, so I think that's the intent of
okay.
this whole thing.
I did ask the owners, it's inside only, so that's not a concern.
And there is a permit process, and there's an ordinance, I guess, or, yeah, I guess it's a special amusement ordinance, right?
Yes.
Which requires a permit. So what's your pleasure? They're a brand new business. Just opened last week.
Is it a one-time deal, or is it
I think it's a,
Friday night
I would
deal
think
or a
it would be
Saturday night
continual.
deal?
Continuous, I would think.
I think it's for a year. I think it goes with the liquor license, I think. We'd have to check on that.
Yeah, I think they're asking for a continuous one.
Is that one that we need a public hearing on? It's got a liquor license and first time through. Do we or don't we?
We did do a public hearing for the
had a-
special amusement.
For the,
They had the public.
permit for the liquor
Yes,
license.
we did, that, right, but that was, they already have a liquor license.
Right, we did a public hearing for that because it was a new license.
Right. Yeah, we wouldn't normally, I mean, if it's just a renewal, we wouldn't, but I guess the question is do we need a public hearing before we grant this special amusement permit? If you look at the ordinance,
I think for the Blues Festival, it was because of the liquor, if I remember right.
Board of Selectmen shall, here we go. Fee for the special amusement permit shall be $50 plus advertising cost. The Board of Selectmen shall, prior to granting a permit and after reasonable notice to the public and the applicant, hold a public meeting within 30 days of the date when the request was received, at which the testimony of the applicant and that of any interested members of the public shall be taken. So I guess, let's schedule a public hearing.
Okay. Next meeting?
I don't have a problem with the next meeting. Do it at 6, first thing, 6 o'clock. Okay. Discuss possible vote for new liquor license for the new owner of Woody's Sports Bar. And this, seems how this has been licensed, I would guess that we would not go into a public hearing for Jim M.R.S.A, right?
I would agree.
The inspector said we don't have to.
Right.
You can if you want to.
Right.
I would think it's necessary.
But he's
State
gonna-
liquor inspector.
He's gonna continue to run the business the way that it's been run, right? It's just a different owner. So, if we had a public hearing,
I
we'd
can
be
say
having a
that-
public hearing on the owner, not necessarily the
I
facility,
agree with that.
right?
Yeah.
So, I would guess that we probably don't need a public hearing, so I would entertain a motion unless somebody wants to.
I'll make a motion that we approve the liquor license, new liquor license for the new owner of Woody's Sports Bar.
Okay?
I'll second that.
Second, moved and seconded, so this would be, new license would be approved for J.A. M.R.S.A. and Company LLC. Any further discussion? Sensing none, all those in favor? Opposed?
5-0.
That's done. Okay, discuss a vote on Selectmen Liaisons to the various committees. I'm assuming that everybody got a quick look at that. Let's see. All right, Cemetery Committee was Gordon. So that one's got to get fixed. The Community Garden, Dave, you want to continue with that? Conservation Commission, Dwayne, you all set with that? Eco-Maine Board of Directors, I'm appointed through, we just did that recently, and Gary is the alternative. We'll have to change the alternative. Economic Development, I've been on that. Library Board of Trustees, we've had as open. Gordon Littlefield was the Old Home Days Committee. Planning Board with the backup of myself and Dwayne was the alternate. Road Review Committee, Public Safety Committee was David. Road Review Committee was Dwayne. Transfer Station was me. Zoning Board of Appeals was Dwayne. So this is wide open if anybody is interested in taking one.
We'll take the road review committee.
Okay.
I'll remain with public safety and cemetery for right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, community garden.
So, Dwayne, you're all set with the Conservation Committee and, okay, and the Zoning Board of
Unless
Appeals?
somebody else wants it.
I'll continue as the Eco-Maine, and I just as soon stay with the Economic Development. Mike, are you interested in, you just came off the Planning Board. I don't know if it's something that you're interested in representing the board as a liaison with the Planning Board, but it's up to you.
I would have a very strong interest, however, the night does not work for me anymore.
Okay. So we'll continue to work that, and with myself and Dwayne as a backup. Library Board of Trustees, the Cemetery Committee, Old Home Days would be openings. So
You can do Old Home Days.
okay.
If you'd like me to.
So we'll put Mike Proventia for that.
I can do the Library Trustees.
And Mike Proventia for the Library Trustees. And anybody interested in the Cemetery Committee?
I'll take that one too.
Okay, and Mike will take that. So if everybody's okay with that, we will move forward. Okay? Thank you. All right, old business. Set the date for the solar ordinance workshop. We
gotta do that.
tentatively decided to do that. Well, we were scheduled to do that tonight. We moved that, needless to say, because we had to make it legal. So what's your pleasure there? You wanna? I think it's important that we have someone from the planning board and or Lee J at that meeting. So I don't know what his schedule is.
Well, it's loosening up after the 16th of July. He's, I don't know if he can be here that night. I'd have to check. He's working for 4 or 5 towns now.
Eric, we could zoom him in.
Yep.
He seems to be able to do that easier.
Yes, yeah, he does it constantly.
So does anybody have a problem if we schedule this for the 20th at 5 o'clock? We'll just do the workshop, but we need at least Lee J and or someone from the planning board to at least talk about some of the questions that we have. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. I completely blew over this thing that we added to the under new business, the main PERS plan. So let's jump back to that, which was new business F. So I would assume this is sample wording for the Waterboro's body to clarify the change to the main PERS plan for firefighters. Change will be effective August 1st. So you can see how this reads, and I would suggest that we make a motion that the town agrees to ABCD.
All of them then,
We
to agree with all of them,
Right.
yeah.
So we put it into the budget. We now have to act so that PERS has the main PERS has our permission to do that. So Dwayne, will you move it?
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
move the sample wording of A, B, C, and D
Okay. Do I have a second?
as presented to the board.
Yep. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Can I clarify?
Yep.
The 32 hours a week in here, folks, just as a refresher, this is how we signed up with M.R.S., because when we did that 5 years ago, 6 years ago,
We was only working 32.
32 was considered full-time, so we made that a stipulation. Our personnel policy was changed to 40. This should stay at 32. There are only one or two people that just one at 32 now, and it's irrelevant, but the 32 should stay in here. We don't need to change that.
Any other discussion?
So what's changing here are dates? Did we miss a deadline?
Essentially, I think Matt was maybe assuming Lamb was doing this, and Lamb maybe was assuming Matt was doing this, getting signed up for this special plan as of July 1. That did not happen.
Okay.
I'll take responsibility for that.
And I
So
was just notified today when I was trying to find the rates.
Okay. Did
So-
it cost anybody anything, or?
Yeah, I think it
Are we
was
good with it?
We just lost the 1 month.
$9,000 for the year, I think it was,
Something like
something along those lines.
They have been, and the fire department has been notified that it will be in effect August 1st. They are aware of this error.
Okay.
So this gets us on board that plan, which will improve, there's a retention tool and a hiring tool as well.
Okay,
Work both ways for us.
I hope so.
all those in favor? Opposed?
5-0. Thank you very much for having this.
Okay, so, on the discuss vote to approve the minutes of the June 15th regular meeting and the June 22nd special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
As printed.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Dana seconded.
Dana seconded.
All right, so pending decisions, week's action list, I think you're all set there, Gary. Discussion of agenda items, we're gonna bring back renting of the town hall, okay? We're gonna set the public hearing for the special amusement permit for 5 Ponds for next meeting, it's 6 o'clock. Anything else that anyone wants to bring back?
Peter's still here being quiet. If you have any questions, he's here, but I don't think he has a speech prepared.
Payment starts tomorrow, so they say.
I'm told too. Yeah.
Do we have the opportunity to put on our website where they're going to be on 202? At any
It's on
point in the
there.
day?
They claim it's on there.
It's all over Facebook, but it's,
Yeah, but it's supposed to start last week.
Yeah.
And Mother Nature, you gotta change it every day.
And then the sign said it was supposed to start yesterday, and then they did a little bit today,
Well, preparation today, yes.
so
Tomorrow?
hold our breath that they start tomorrow.
Be
And
ready.
we have no idea whether they're starting in Alfred or here.
They should be starting now, coming this way.
Can you keep me posted, Pete, so
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
update the site and Facebook every day?
I'll pass on what they tell me, yes.
And after we drive by the paving equipment and see how it
Yeah, it's only as good as the
I
reality,
would
right?
like to see that light down there. You can scream and holler loud enough, turned over to the state, because they've changed that. That light belongs to the town of Waterboro.
So,
It should belong to the state.
yep, the state of Maine has, I don't know, big bond out there. Within the next year or two, they're gonna be taking over all traffic lights. So eventually, it will go back.
But that, they're gonna have another light, I would presume, put up there, or move that light, so
They may
that,
move it, but they're not putting additional lights up. there.
that second light is not in line with the traffic stopping, and they're gonna go right straight through.
Even coming Route 5 from Hollis area, those lights aren't lined up very
Yeah.
well either.
Right.
No,
But if anything changes, that's something.
Well, we need to continue to push them if we can.
we'd like to get rid of that, because it's just a burden for the town of Waterboro.
We ought to get rid of the one at West Road and the one here as well. The one here, they
Townhouse is not ours.
Oh, it's not ours?
No.
Oh,
Just the West Road, 202.
Yeah.
So,
okay. All right, we need to, signature renewal of the liquor license for the Fraternal Orders of Eagles. We don't have the special amusement permit, but we do have the new liquor license for Woody's Sports Grill. So,
That one's got Eagles marked on it.
and I would prefer not to adjourn, only because we need to run an executive session to cover a personnel matter, and then we'll adjourn after that.
Yeah, you could come out, you can
Right.
make a decision.
So, unless
Nope.
that one's not being
I'm
signed.
gonna give this
okay.
back to Laura.
So I would entertain a motion to go in executive session pursuant to 1 M.R.S.A. 405-6 paragraph A, discussion of a personnel matter, and we can set that time at 7:30 if you want, but, so, do I have a motion?
So moved.
So,
Second? All those in favor? So at 7:30, we will go into executive session.